All right, all you animals, it's the time you all been waiting for. This is the good stuff. These are my top wide receiver rankings for 2023. Let's go. All right, so I'm not going to be doing my top 36 in range of 1 through 36. That's too easy, and that's fine if you want to go on First Take and ESPN. If you want to lay out your first handful of guys and rank them 1 through 7, NFL top 100. That's all fine and dandy. But in fantasy football, tiers matter. You group the guys into tiers because at the end of the day, 1 through 36 is one thing, but guys, 1 and 2 are somewhat swappable. 5 and to 6 and 7 are somewhat swappable. So tiers matter. So I'm putting my guys in tiers. First tier, 200 target potential. That's going to be Cooper Kupp and Justin Jefferson. Now, for those of you who didn't watch my video, I'll link the video here. Cooper Kupp was on pace for 355 fantasy points last year. Do you know who the number one wide receiver was last year? Justin Jefferson, obviously. And how many points did he have? 354. So Cooper Kupp was on pace to be the number one wide receiver last year before he got hurt. So I understand you're talking about injuries coming back, but we've seen him do it before. It's not what I'm here to argue. My point is there is no one in this offense to take away targets from Cooper Kupp. Even the year that he's had his historical pace. Obviously, you had guys like OBJ, Robert Woods. Who do you have this year? Tutu Atwell? What is he, 5 foot nothing? I'm not worried about the Rams offense. Matthew Stafford is healthy. Cooper Kupp should be argued as one of the top receivers in 2023. Justin Jefferson, obviously he's the main guy, and he's up for discussion as the number one pick. Kirk Cousins definitely has taken a like to Justin Jefferson, and I understand why. He's a top 3 wide receiver in the NFL, and that's not just fantasy purposes. Adam Thielen is going. It's over 100 targets. I understand you signed Jordan Addison in the first round, so you're definitely going to want to see what he has. Adam Thielen had 100 targets last year. KJ Osborne, we know what he is, and we seem to see Jordan Addison develop, but I can't see him getting more than 100 or so targets. He's going to start slow, obviously, just like Justin Jefferson did his rookie year. The first couple of weeks, he was on the waiver wire. He wasn't even playable. Justin Jefferson, Cooper Kupp, those are my first tier. The tier 2, the zero bust potential. Devonta Adams, Jamar Chase, and Tyreek Hill. These guys are going to explode on a week-to-week basis, but their floor is so high. Devonta Adams, you can say what you want. Oh, he can't do it without Aaron Rodgers. He did it without Derek Carr. Oh, he can't do it without Derek Carr. He's going to do it with Jimmy G. He's going to get so many targets, it's going to be disgusting. But me as a Raiders fan, I love it. He had 180 targets last year, and there were games where he had 2 or 3 targets. There were games where he didn't get a target in the second half, and he still had 180 targets. I could easily put him in a 200 target tier, but I don't want to be biased. I don't want to be a homer. I'm going to put him in my zero bust tier. Jamar Chase, once again, a lot of the guys can argue back and forth if he's the best receiver in the league between guys like Justin Jefferson, Cooper Kupp, and so forth. I just think that with T. Higgins on that team, he's never going to be in that top echelon tier, and I'm fine with having him as my wide receiver 1, but I wouldn't, take him with a top 1 or 2 or 3 pick. I just think that he's going to, he's going to cap out at maybe 100 catches, maybe. He hasn't had over 100 catches in his career. Now, don't get me wrong, he's going to have the yardage. He's going to have the long bombs. He's going to have the yards after the catch. He's going to have the yak yards. But I can't see him maxing out at his full potential because of T. Higgins. But once again, he has zero bust potential, and he can obviously blow up. We've seen him do it. 2 years ago, he had 55 points in the championship game. So Jamar Chase could blow up at any time, but his floor is so high. Tyreek Hill, same thing. The Miami Dolphins is going to be Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, and obviously they have, the running backs, but they don't have a main guy. Tua is going to target funnel Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. Tyreek Hill has that big play potential. He went from Patrick Mahomes to Tua, and in his first year, he had a career high in yardage. And Tua only played 13 games. So you mean to tell me that as a receiver, he can get over 1,500 yards and in 13 games with your starting quarterback? If Tua can stay healthy, Tyreek Hill can honestly be one of the top guys in fantasy football, not only just a receiver, but as a player. But once again, he has zero bust potential. If you don't have a top pick, you can feel safe with these guys in your top 5. My next tier is the best of the rest, and that's guys like Stephon Diggs, A.J. Brown, CeeDee Lamb, and Amon-Ra St. Brown. These are going to be the guys that, the end of the first round, early second round, even late second round in certain times. They don't have that top 1, top 2, top 3 receiver upside, but they're very safe. And these are the guys that you might be unsure of at the RB position. If you're looking at the end of the first round, you're not liking the running backs. You don't want to go Travis Kelce. Oh, he's already been taken. You don't want to go, Patrick Mahomes or the Josh Allen type. And you're a little uneasy at the running backs. Pick these guys, regroup for your next pick, and feel safe with these guys. Stephon Diggs, as long as Josh Allen's in the game, he's going to be a top 10 receiver. A.J. Brown, we saw him explode onto the scene last year with Jalen Hurts. He's obviously sharing targets with Dallas Goedert and Devontae Smith, so his ceiling is capped at a certain potential. He doesn't need 180 targets. We've seen that he's uber efficient. And we've seen that even from the Tennessee days. Now that he has a really good quarterback, his limit is the sky. CeeDee Lamb, he's slowly progressing into the alpha wide receiver that we want him to be. The last few years, we've been waiting to see his jump, and he's getting there. He's still not, a top 5 receiver by any means, but he's getting there. He's going to have an immense amount of targets this year as long as Dak can stay healthy. They signed Brandon Cooks. Michael Gallup should be healthy. But CeeDee Lamb playing in the slot, it's an unfair advantage. What you gonna do? Who can you put on him? I'm on Ross St. Brown. His target cap is through the roof once again. Doesn't have the upside, which, like I said, it's not going to be a top 5 receiver, but he's very safe in his floor. He has, 150 targets in his future, and that goes without saying. My next tier is called the target hogs. These are the guys that's guaranteed for at least 130 targets, maybe more, and that's all they need to be the top 12 wide receivers that they can be. And that's guys like Jalen Waddle, Amari Cooper, Deebo Samuel, Calvin Ridley, Terry McLaurin, Garrett Wilson, and Marquise Hollywood Brown. Now, some of these guys are unlike the other. I know Jalen Waddle, Garrett Wilson, because of quarterback play and talent, could be in that top 5, top 10 receivers. But once again, these are the alphas for their team. Jalen Waddle, even though he's not the number 1 receiver, once again, they're going to target funnel through tunnel in Miami. It's the Tua show and it's the Jalen Waddle show. They're going to easily accumulate at least 25 to 30% each of the target share in Miami. And he doesn't need that many targets to blow up. He has other yards after the catch potential, just like Tyreek Hill. He could take a screen to the house. He could take a bubble screen to the house. He has that potential. Amari Cooper, when you see what Deshaun Watson is going to be, he's going to take the next step up, which means Amari Cooper is going to level up. And he's at alpha. I like Elijah Moore, who we're going to be talking about a little bit later. But Amari Cooper is still the alpha on that team, and he's guaranteed 100-plus targets. And that's what you want in fantasy football. He's very consistent. He's very rarely going to have the blow up games, the 25, 30, 40-point games that we come accustomed, that we want out of our wide receivers. But consistency is also key. Can't be mad at consistency. Calvin Ridley, he's just been itching to get onto the field. And we've all seen the practice tape. We've seen Zay Jones going in slow motion and Calvin Ridley going like it's fast forward, but it's real life. That footage has not been edited. And Calvin Ridley is just that good. And people forget just how good Calvin Ridley is. He's going to remind you in 2023. Terry McLaurin, yet again, has to have a new offensive coordinator and a new quarterback in his system, but he's going to be fine. He's going to have multiple targets. We like Jahan Dotson. We like Curtis Samuel. We like Antonio Gibson coming to the backfield. Brian Robinson is going to get, 15 carries or so a game. But Terry McLaurin is still at alpha, and if Sam Howell can be just a little bit better than Carson Wentz, a little bit better than Jacoby Brissett, a little bit better than what he's been used to, he's going to be just fine for fantasy football. Marquise Brown, he's being disrespected. I understand that just because Kyler is going to be hurt, and he's probably going to miss a handful of games, people are throwing him away, which is fine. He's a value at where he's at. He's going to be the number 1 target on that team. Not only is Kyler hurt, but Zach Ertz is also hurt. Trey McBride, we don't know what he's going to be. And there's no one left on this team other than a bunch of rookies and small guys. Marquise Brown, once again, is at alpha, and he's going to command plenty of targets. And you can definitely have a steal in the later rounds with Marquise Brown. My next tier is the robust running back tier. Why am I saying that? These are the guys that are going to be your number 1 wide receiver if you went heavy on the RBs. And that's Keenan Allen, T. Higgins, Chris Olave, DJ Moore, DK Metcalf, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, and Michael Pittman. And I like all these guys, but not wide receiver 1. Once again, if I'm going to go heavy RB, I just need a little consistency with blow-up potential in my wide receiver 1. If I'm going, if I got 3 stout running backs, I don't need blow-up games from my wide receiver. I need consistency. My running backs are going to have the blow-up games. Keenan Allen is the king of consistency. T. Higgins, once again, in that Cincinnati offense, Jamar Chase is obviously the alpha, but T. Higgins definitely has games where he's going to be the number 1 target, and he has blow-up potential. He's also the red zone guy. Throw it up to him in the red zone, and he's guaranteed you a handful of touchdowns. He's one of Joe Burrow's favorite targets, and Joe Burrow is a top quarterback in this league, so that's what you want with fantasy football. DJ Moore moving over to Chicago. We need to see how he gels with Justin Fields. We want Justin Fields to take that step up, not only as a rusher, but as a passer. We know what he is as a rusher. He can be 1,000 yards rushing. He has already done that. He could be Lamar Jackson-esque, but we need him to be a little Josh Allen-esque. We need him to throw some touchdowns with those rushing games. Not only for his fancy sake, but for DJ Moore's. DJ Moore is an alpha wide receiver, and he's had to deal with poor quarterback play his entire career. I'm not saying Justin Fields is a Hall of Famer at this point in his career already, but he's much better than what he's been dealing with Sam Darnold in Carolina. DJ Moore is very safe and he's continuously disrespected. So DJ Moore falls to you in fantasy football. Be happy with him as your wide receiver 1. He's going to be the alpha in that offense. DK Metcalf, he was disrespected last year, and he's in the same position he's in last year. He was disrespected last year because you didn't know what you were getting with Geno Smith. You know what you're getting with him, yet he's still being drafted around the same ADP. I don't understand why he's disrespected. He's going to have games where he's going to catch 70-yard bombs. He's going to games where he's going to give you 50 yards. I get it. But once again, that's what DK Metcalf is, and he has the blow potential as your wide receiver 1. Once again, you went RB heavy. You went your style RB guys. You want blow potential with a little consistency, and that's what DJ Metcalf can give you. Speaking of a little consistency with blow up games, let's talk about Mike Evans. 1,000 yards every year his career with averaging 9 touchdowns a year, constantly being disrespected in the 7th, 8th, 9th round sometimes with Mike Evans. If I can get Mike Evans as my wide receiver 1 after drafting 4 stout running backs or 3 or 4 running backs, a tight end, a quarterback, I will not complain at all, and I'll be perfectly happy with him as my wide receiver 1. I'm putting Chris Godwin in the same tier as Mike Evans because I like those guys in that offense. I'm not saying Baker Mayfield is a Hall of Famer, but he is disrespected. I like both guys, but give me whichever one falls to me at value. I'll be happy with either one of the guys in that offense. We don't know who the number 1 is. Chris Godwin is probably a better PPR play, but at the same time, Mike Evans is going to get those blow-up games and those touchdowns. Michael Pittman, Anthony Richardson is going to be a dog when it comes on the football field as an athlete. We don't know. We can't sit here and trust his arm yet, but he has the ability to go long. And what we always complain about Michael Pittman is he has, dump offs and short passes that doesn't really do anything. With Noodle Arm, Matt Ryan, or Carson Wentz, and all those guys, we want someone that can sling it. That's what he did at USC. Over the top, long balls. That's Anderson Richardson's MO. So let's see what he does with the Colts this year. And Chris Olave, it's no longer Mike Thomas's team. It's Chris Olave's team. Being a Raiders fan, I've seen Derek Carr sling it, and I know what he's capable of throwing the ball downfield. That's Chris Olave's specialty. So I do like him as my wide receiver 1 as long as I can get star running backs before. My next tier is the limited upside with targets. Has a lot of talent mixed in with a handful of targets, but the upside is very limited. And that's guys like Deontay Johnson, Tyler Lockett, Mike Evans, Michael Thomas, Devontae Smith, Christian Watson, Brandon Ayuk, and Drake London. Some of these offenses are very skeptical. Some of these players are very skeptical when it comes to injury, consistency. But once again, these guys are going to be getting the targets in their offense. The upside is very limited, but if you can get these guys as a wide receiver 2, you should be perfectly happy. And my last tier is the explosion tier. These are the guys that you really just want to save a bench spot for and pick them up later on at the end of the draft, just in case. But when they decide to blow up, you'll have them ready to plug into your lineup. And that's the Denver wide receivers. Once again, Cortland Sutton or Jerry Jeudy, depending on which one falls to you at value, is the guy I'm happy with. I'm perfectly fine with Jerry Jeudy or Cortland Sutton. Jerry Jeudy seems to go, a couple of rounds before Cortland Sutton, so most of the time I end up getting Sutton, but I'm happy with either or. You don't know who Russ's number 1 is going to be, so let's see who it plays out. Once again, save a bench spot for one of these players. Elijah Moore, he's getting manufactured touches in Cleveland. Remember, Cleveland traded the Jets for Elijah Moore. They didn't give up a lot. They went and got him when they saw he was available, and they plan on using him. We've already seen their preseason him taking handoffs in that, Deebo Samuel type role. And if you're getting Deebo Samuel production out of Elijah Moore in the double-digit rounds, sign me up. Rashad Bateman and Sky Moore. Rashad Bateman, he should be the number 1 guy in Baltimore. Really haven't been a strong passing offense in past, but that's going to change under the new offensive coordinator. And with Sky Moore, he could be the number 1 option for Patrick Mahomes. What else more can you ask for? Plenty of guys that I'll be perfectly happy with as a top 40 receiver. These are my top 36 guys. Thanks for tuning in to today's video. Remember, subscribe to see more content from me and everyone here at Just in Time Media.